In the matter of days, the 2024 World Champions Los Angeles Dodgers have signed a trio of Roki Sasaki, Tanner Scott, and Kirby Yates. Oh no, not again. Indeed, the Dodgers did strike again. Besides those three mentioned above, since the start of the offseason, the Dodgers have dished out contracts to Blake Snell, Blake Triton, Michael Conforto, Teoscar Hernandez, and Hyo Seung Kim. It is well noted that the Dodgers are never afraid to flex their financial muscles and are willing to go above and beyond to do so. The Roki Sasaki signing didn't have much to do with LA's financial flexibility, but more to do with the fact that the Dodgers are cemented as one of baseball's very few perennial contenders, as well as featuring a starting rotation with two fellow Japanese players in Yoshinobu Yamamoto and two-way phenom Shohei Ohtani. Sasaki was available to all 30 teams as he declared himself a free agent from the NPB League based in Japan. What was unique about Roki's situation is that he made himself available for free agency prematurely from the Japanese League, as the rule states that depending on the individual's player's situation, a player must accrue 7 to 9 years of service time in order to pursue free agency in other leagues. Playing baseball in the MLB was clearly a top priority for the 23-year-old right-hander, as he only played 4 seasons in the NPB League. Initially, Roki seemed like a sophisticated free agent as he refused to meet with certain teams, such as the Philadelphia Phillies, while also demanding teams upon meeting them to do the homework that he assigned to them to further evaluate their team. Yes, you heard that correctly. Teams had to submit their assignment to Mr. Sasaki in order for him to even consider that particular team. Through his lens, it was an appropriate step to take because his goal was to be really diligent and strategic in selecting where he was going to decide to play for the next 6 years. Especially considering that there was not going to be a such thing as the highest bidder, because as of right now, Shohei Ohtani, who deferred a whopping 97% of his salary. That unselfish move by Ohtani allowed the Dodgers to go out and subsidize Yamamoto with a 12-year, $325 million contract during the previous offseason. Yoshinobu, who was a staple in the NPB League, is projected to have a very long and successful MLB career. Last year, the 26-year-old right-hand hurler showed glimpses of being a real solid MLB pitcher. However, he had an injury-riddled season, only limiting him to 18 starts. Along with Yoshinobu, Shohei Ohtani, Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin, Tyler Glasnow, Brusdar Graterol, Dustin May, Walker Buehler, River Ryan, Emmett Sheehan are amongst guys who were sidelined for a substantial period of time during the 2024 campaign. That forced them to make pitching moves during the trade deadline, like trading for Jack Flaherty and Michael Kopech. They made additional moves such as Tommy Edman, Ahmed Rosario, and Kevin Kiermaier to fortify their offense in order to compensate for their lack of pitching depth. This was the glaring issue with the 2024 Dodgers, as they had to piece together 9 bullpen games out of their 16 playoff games. This is not normally a good formula for success. Down the stretch of the 2024 season heading into the postseason, the only legitimate starters remaining in the rotation were Jack Flaherty, Walker Buehler, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. In spite of having a devil of a time figuring out their pitching situation on a game-to-game basis in the playoffs, the Dodgers won the World Series in 5 games against the New York Yankees thanks to their potent offense and utilization of a fundamental baseball approach. One guy that I have not mentioned yet, but was a thorn in the side of the Yankees, is former Atlanta Braves star first baseman Freddie Freeman, who is still currently on the roster and is not showing any signs of slowing down. Freddie was one of those guys who was banged up towards the final stretch of the season from an ankle sprain to his right leg. Team doctors suggested that the severity of the injury could have sidelined him for 4 to 6 weeks, but the left-handed slugger was really determined not to let that be the case. He took 8 days off and missed 3 playoff games overall. People around Freddie said that he was in the training room for hours prior to the games, while also limping on and off the field, grimacing through a lot of pain. Nonetheless, the 2021 champion provided most of the offensive production as he tormented the Yankees in the World Series with a walk-off bomb in Game 1, crushing 4 home runs in the first 4 games with 12 RBIs, while batting .300, ultimately winning World Series MVP. He now has a track record of dominating in the World Series. Obviously, Freddie wasn't the lone reason why the Dodgers got to hoist the Commissioner's Trophy. Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Tommy Edman, Kike Hernandez are other guys not mentioned much that were some of the major contributors to the Dodgers championship run. That puts into perspective the offensive depth that the team had last year. Their best hitter during the regular season in Ohtani was not even much of a factor during the 5 World Series games, but that still didn't seem to mess up their rhythm. Following their triumphant season, the Dodgers were able to retain most of their guys from last year's roster, such as Teoscar Hernandez, while some of them were either traded, have yet to resign, or sign elsewhere. Gavin Lux, who played his part in 2024, was traded to the Cincinnati Reds. Kike Hernandez is still a free agent, and Walker Buehler took his talents to the Boston Red Sox as LA had no place in the starting rotation for him. The Dodgers have upgraded their team in a drastic way this offseason, and I am sure they are still looking to find other ways to improve their roster, whether that will be now or during the next trade deadline. The franchise that was once located in Brooklyn has been a perennial winners for a while, having not missed the playoffs since the 2012 season and finally completed the job by winning a championship during the shortened 2020 season. Prior to the 2020 season, the last title that LA captured was in 1988. The distance between 1988 and 2020 is approximately 32 years, and that is a drought that they were dealing with. From 2013 to 2019 and from 2021 to 2023, the Dodgers kept falling flat on their faces in each of their playoff runs. After completing their mission last year, they are steadfast on becoming baseball's first dynasty since the Yankees in the early 2000s. They are not only doing it with their high capital, they are also doing it strategically by finding a loophole in order to circumvent paying an exorbitant amount in CBT tax penalty as they normally would have if none of their players were to defer their payment. That brings me to the question, are the LA Dodgers winning baseball? The wonderful part about baseball is that it is super unpredictable, and no matter how much the Dodgers stack the deck, it does not guarantee them to be the next dynasty or even win another championship. However, if the Dodgers were that good without much pitching, I can't help but to imagine how dominant of a team that they can potentially be with actual pitching depth this upcoming season. It will be in due time that we'll figure out the trajectory of the Dodgers when the MLB season begins in a couple of months. So, let's stay tuned for the 2025 MLB season.